Hi, welcome to Ask a Citytech Grad. This week we are talking to one of my favorite people in the world, and you are
Kendell Burton.
Kendell Burton. So why don't you tell us who you are and what you're up to?
Oh, great. Where should I begin at the beginning? Well, right now, currently I'm working at Glow Interactive, which is a digital agency. I'm working there as a designer. I just recently got a new job at 360i as an associate art director, so I'm really excited about that. I should start that in about a week. And yeah, I'm doing a lot of course, design, obviously, but I'm doing design in the digital space mostly. That's where my career has mostly been so far, and social media and a lot of things like that. And, yep.
So the important question is, did you get a raise?
You know what? That is an important question. I got a raise and I got a title promotion, so it was a very good raise. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's definitely making some differences in my life, and then the title was going to make a difference as well. Because I know, Professor, you always bugged me about the title thing.
Yes.
You're like, "Hey, your title matters. Get a new
Yes,
title."
it does.
And luckily, I didn't even have to ask for it. They just gave it to me, so it's even better.
Fantastic. Okay, so glad we got that out of the way. So going back to starters, what did you study when you were at Citytech?
Oh, when I was at Citytech, I studied obviously communication design. I know the curriculum was kind of spread out, so you kind of had the option of like web, print, uh, packaging, and a few other options. But I went under the web space, so I took mostly a lot of web design classes. I kind of jumped around a bit because I took some of the advertising classes as well. So I just wanted to get like the thinking of advertising, so that I could apply it everywhere else. Because yeah, I realized honestly, not just in college, but even now, like the most important part was the thinking. Getting the skills you can totally get. That's just a matter of tutorials and time. But if you got the right thinking, you can solve any problem design wise. So advertising helped with that and helped in the web space and everything else.
So I remember when you were a senior that you had a lot of internships. Can you just remind us what those were?
Oh yes, I interned at Buddy Media before they became Salesforce, which they are now. I got that internship through a friend of mine who I'm still friends with, Sergey. He was a really cool dude. He was actually older than me, but me and him just kind of hit it off in class. And he was like, "Hey, you need an internship?" I was like, "Yes, yes, please." And he he was working at Buddy Media at the time, so he recommended me for the internship, and I got it, and that was great. And I had a second internship later on down the road. That was at excuse me, that was at F Sharp, which at the time they were kind of a startup. I guess they would still say they are now, but they've been around for a while, so I wouldn't say
Yeah.
they're a startup
Yeah.
anymore. They focus more so on the music platforms, so I was creating experiences for Spotify, which was really fun. I actually haven't done that since, really. I've seen a few people do it here and there, and honestly, I haven't met too many people that have done that, so that was interesting. It was like, kind of like UI, UX before I guess it was like truly buzzwords.
Sure.
It was pretty interesting. I was there for about 6 months or so, and that was my last internship before I finished school. And I guess I had one other project that would be considered an internship, but it was more so kind of like a student freelance project where they kind of grabbed a bunch of the what they consider best students at City Tech and said, "Hey, we're going to do like an app project together." So that was kind of like an internship, but we were luckily paid for that.
Yeah, that's great. So how did this turn into your first job? Any of this experience?
How did all those experiences turn into my first job?
Yeah.
Uh, First when I was at Buddy Media, like that was social media was it's still a big thing. Like just I honestly even go back a little further. Like a lot of these changes in media happened while I was in school, so that was pretty challenging in of itself because the curriculum didn't change overnight. Like it's impossible to do that. But City Tech did change where necessary to kind of help the students along the way because when iPhones and iPads and Facebook and all this thing was coming big, I was roughly about a junior, or like yeah, roughly about a junior in college, something like that, when all of that started to really happen.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow, this is like a drastic change that happened. Basically, feels like overnight. Print wasn't exactly what it was before. Now there's all this digital stuff that's happening, and I was like, okay, great. And I knew like almost nothing about social media. Well, outside of like blogging, which is what got me into the show to begin with. And so when I got my experience at Buddy Media, it was a social media focus, and I was like, okay, I'm not necessarily sure what that means right now, so let me kind of figure that out. And I found out that they were doing content for different brands and different kind of experiences on Facebook, and it was really interesting at the time. Really opened my eyes to like what I can do, and it definitely influenced my work while I was in school because it was like, okay, great. Whenever I had these advertising campaigns, I was like, I know social media is a thing. I had to do something for social media. So like every campaign I worked on, I always had like a Facebook activation or something like that, and it just kind of carried on from there. I never really saw myself doing social media, but it kind of went from there to then F Sharp, where it was social media plus the music aspect of it, then to my first job, which was at VaynerMedia, and so on and so on.
Vayner. So VaynerMedia was
Yes.
your first actual job.
That was my first job out of college.
Right. And then Vayner ended up being your most recent gig after that? Was that right? Or was it somewhere in between?
I was at Vayner, and then I was at Laundry Service, and then I was at Glow Interactive, where I am now currently.
Right. And then at one point you mentioned that at Glow you started doing more After Effects kind of stuff. Is that still the case?
Yes. I had no experience with After Effects, like none. Leaving school, like, and then I'll blame myself more than the school. The school had nothing to do with that. I knew people in college who were using After Effects. I just wasn't. I was learning other things. Like I was trying to do app design. I was doing everything. I was trying to do so many different things digital because it was such an interesting time to just. I know it was only a few years ago. I feel like I'm talking about the 80s, but it was such an interesting time.
Sounds like that, yes.
Trying to figure out how to change now because I'm like, the space has changed while I was in school.
Yeah.
How do I adapt to that? And luckily, I was kind of obsessed with apps and all of that, so I was always playing around with that or designing little ideas here and there. So by the time I got to Vayner and stuff like that, it was kind of like, okay, cool, like the social media thing. Let me figure this thing out. And it started to grow. And when I got to Glow, things started going more video focused and animation focused. So people didn't just want static. Essentially, you could almost say posters. Yeah. People didn't really just want like posters anymore. It wasn't just like, oh, I could put this great character with some beautiful type and we're done here. Now it's like, no, I want that beautiful design, but I also want it to move. Maybe the text animates on, maybe the photo animates, maybe her hair is flowing in the window, whatever it is. And that started to happen more and more while I was at Glow. So as they slowly started to shift, I had to shift with it. Like it was no longer maybe I can just get by. It was like, no, I have to make the change with it. Otherwise, I will become obsolete in this space. So I started to play around with it myself. And honestly, even though I was a designer at the time, a junior designer came in and she knew After Effects and she tried to teach me. And I was like, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay. So you could always learn from anyone. So
already you're the old man in the office.
No, I'm only 28, but yeah. Technically, I'm the old man in the office. It's funny, like at Glow, I'm one of the few designers that have had more jobs outside of Glow. A lot of people there is their first gig. Yeah. That's my third gig, so I kind of came in with some of my own thinking about certain things. Sure, yeah. So along some of the younger designers, I guess I'm like a vet.
Exactly. So you're moving on to this new job. Yes. Are you going to be doing more of the same kind of stuff that you're doing now, or is it going up in different directions? Do you know?
So far from what I've been told, it's going to be a little bit of the same, but it seems like they kind of brought me in because they want to change their experiences with social. Like they feel comfortable kind of with where they are, but they really wanted to bring a designer that could think, that could come up with strategies, come up with concepts. On top of being able to design in this social space, using animation if we have to, mixing footage, just kind of like similar things that I'm already currently doing in my job, but they just want to bring in somebody who has experience with it. Sure. Because they've been shifting more to the social thing as well.
What kind of clients are you going to be dealing with?
So far, they didn't give me like a long list of which clients I'll be working on. They have a lot of clients anyway, but so far my understanding is that they want my help with the USA brand.
The USA brand? Oh, the
USA, the TV television network.
Yeah. Okay.
They want my help with that one. That's the one that they mentioned, but I'm not sure if that plan changed or not because we'll see when I get there.
Things change quickly.
Exactly.
Do you have any advice for people who are about to graduate from Citytech?
Yes. Tons, actually. Too much. I don't know if you want to follow our video.
Okay.
But,
okay. Well,
I'm joking.
No. Well, talking specifically to people preparing their portfolios.
For that, I would say, one, get really close to your professors, like, because it's helpful. Yeah. Like, not just for getting a job, but like, this is kind of like I'm gonna answer, I guess, on a bigger space, but. We tend to try to, we cultivate these relationships with our professors and our classmates and all of that, and we tend to try to almost say use that to get a job, when really you should be kind of really getting to know the people around you, so that they become people in your life that just kind of help you through life.
Sure.
So you have design problems. You know, you have your design friends. Like, hey man, this guy, me and him talk about everything. So let me call him and talk about something I've experienced at work. Like, I'm not sure if you remember Ray Lynn.
Yes.
Professor, remember Ray? Me and Ray still talk like all the time. And when he was struggling at his job, he would always call me up like, "Can you believe these guys did this at my job? Like, this is crazy. Like, how do I handle this scenario?" And he was asking for my advice. Meanwhile, I didn't graduate that far ahead of him, but it's just that level of trust that he has with me.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I would highly recommend that students coming out was portfolio. Get close to your professors. Figure out what they're thinking. Figure out how they made it as far as they are. Every professor you trust, just ask their opinion, whether they're working in the same space as you or not. Just figure out like how they think and how other people in our field think, because that's really what our professors are, extension of the field. And stay close to them. Don't just ask them for stuff when you need them. Check in and see how you doing, like how's life.
Yep.
Because it's always easier to check in when you don't need something versus when you do.
Yes, exactly. So what about stuff they should have in their portfolios?
I feel depending on what kind of where your focus is going to be design wise. If you're going into social media, have some social media stuff in it, whether it's like pieces of content for a brand. I mean, you can even pick a brand that you love and come up with a strategy for them specifically for social. Or, as Professor Davis used to always tell us, like 360 campaigns. You can pick a brand that you love, do a campaign that's maybe in a digital space, a print space, or interactive space. Just kind of flex your muscles. Show your thinking and your design skills. Unless you want to be strictly a producer, then just show your design skills. But still, show your thinking. Because people always care about thinkers.
I think producers have to think these days.
They do. That's what I'm saying. Like, you got to show your thinking. But, you know, some people, I know there's always that stereotype with designers where we kind of just want to sit in the corner and make art. But we need to think. There's a lot of thinking that goes into design.
Absolutely,
so flex
yes.
that in your portfolio.
Yep.
No matter what space you travel to. Packaging,
yep.
websites, just flex it.
Flex it, yes. That sounds great. Excellent. Well, thank you very much for that. And it wasn't too much. No, I think people will appreciate this. Okay, see you later.
See you later, Professor.
Bye.